Hi guys! Welcome to my review of Once Upon a Time episode 518, Ruby Slippers. Now if you watched my review last week you will know that I was really looking forward to this episode because some characters that I really love were coming back and I felt like it was going to be quite Zelina centric. It wasn't quite as Zelina centric as I had imagined that it was going to be, and she just makes me laugh so much, so there weren't quite as many Zelina scenes in the episode as I had expected, but I still loved it. I'm just going to quickly run through the kind of list of things that were my favourite things about this episode because there were very many of them. Personally, I felt like this was quite a strong episode. I have seen some people online disagree with that and say that they didn't really enjoy it and that it was their least favourite episode so far this season, etc, etc. I would not agree with that at all. I thought that it was a really good episode. There were a couple of things that I'm going to be a little bit nitpicky about, which we'll get to later, but on the whole I thought that it was great. Obviously I think the main thing about this episode to talk about and the main thread that was running through it was the relationship between Ruby and Dorothy. Now, like most people, from what we had seen in 5A, I had been expecting this upcoming LGBT relationship that they had been telling us was going to happen was going to be between Ruby and Mulan, which to be honest I'd actually really liked. What I will say is that I felt that it did work well between Ruby and Dorothy. I thought that the chemistry between the actors was nice. I felt like the connection that they formed over their pasts and their personalities was quite nice, and I really enjoyed the scenes between the two actresses. I thought that they did a really nice job. I also think, much like everybody else has been saying, that it's fantastic that they have finally put an LGBT relationship into Once Upon a Time. It is about time. So I think that in terms of representation that was really important, but I'm not going to spend a massive amount of time on it because, as other people have said, it shouldn't be a big deal. Other people who have reviewed this episode, and also Adam and Eddie, when they were asked about it, when it was kind of hinted that this storyline was coming up, they were kind of like, well, we don't want to make a big deal of like, everyone look, we are doing an LGBT relationship, aren't we great? They kind of just wanted to filter it in like any other romantic relationship that's come out throughout the history of the show. I loved the True Love's kiss scene. I thought that it was really lovely and romantic and sweet, and I like that they have found each other and whatever. The one thing that I will say, and this is something that I think other people have picked up on, is, you know, we were led to believe that Ruby and Mulan went off together after all the events of crazy things in Camelot and went off to help Ruby, you know, find her pack. And so they presumably have been sort of travelling along together for a while now. I've lost all sense of time of when this is all supposed to have happened, and I don't know if the writers have too, because they put something like some time ago or something like that at the beginning when they were showing us Ruby and Mulan and Dorothy in Oz. So I don't know how long it is supposed to be that they've been travelling around together, but I don't know, I feel like what they could potentially have done if they'd wanted to go in a different direction was have Ruby and Mulan come across Dorothy and Oz, work together to try and help her defeat Zelina or save Toto or whatever it was that they were doing, but have a spark between Ruby and Mulan that has formed over this time that they have spent together, and they've been working together and travelling together and confiding in each other all this time, and it's kind of like built up into this, you know, romantic connection that they've then formed. And then they've maybe realised at this point in Oz that actually these feelings that they have for each other are so much deeper than either of them realised, and that would have been really lovely. Also, I love Mulan so much. Jamie Chung is amazing, and I wanted more screen time for her in this episode. I wanted to see more of her. I wanted more character development for her. I just wanted more Jamie Chung, really, so yeah. However, the decision that they made that they wanted to pair up Ruby and Dorothy worked really well, despite it maybe being a little bit fast. They had only spent, from what I can tell, a few hours together, but I suppose that's one of the other sides of Once Upon a Time. You have the relationships like Captain Swan that we have watched really grow and develop and become this huge long love story over the course of seasons, and then we have people who have met and fallen, you know, instantly in love the minute that they've met, and it's, I guess, just different sides of that kind of romantic storyline that some people, you know the minute that they meet the person. For other people it takes a little bit longer. If you're someone like Emma who's got guards and walls up and whatever, it sort of takes some time to trust. So I guess that's probably the way that I have to look at it, that they were just right for each other and they've just known it instantly. So yeah, generally, I rambled about that for a while, but generally big thumbs up for the Ruby Dorothy storyline. It did take up quite a lot of time in terms of the actual progression of what's happening in the underworld, so we haven't really got very far other than that, and I know that that's what a lot of other people have been saying. Jake and Jocelyn were talking about that in their review, that there does seem to be in this season quite a lot of focus on like side characters, and maybe that just is because this entire season sort of 5B is set in the underworld and there's really only so much that they can do within that they're bringing in they're spending a lot of time on these kind of side characters rather than our kind of central characters. But I didn't mind that. I thought that it was really nice to see this relationship between Ruby and Dorothy blossom and progress and whatever. I felt like it did sort of take up quite a lot of time in terms of the kind of development of where we're actually at in the underworld. One of my favourite things about this episode, I'm like clenching my fists with glee even just thinking about this, but the Captain Charming aspect of this episode just, like, I can't even tell you how, like, do you ever get that when you're watching a scene and it's just so adorable that you just want to, you feel yourself like curling up in a ball, you're like physically like, oh, this is just so cute, I can't even handle it. That is how I felt about the Captain Charming moment at the table in the loft. Oh, just to hear David saying, or Charming saying, that he's warmed up to Killian and Killian thanking him for coming to save him and then working together in this, like, as this little like bromance. Oh, it was just perfect and I loved it, and I'm even just smiling just talking about it because it was one of my favourite scenes of 5B so far. I just thought it was adorable, and I want more Colin Donahue, Josh Dallas scenes because I know they're good friends in real life, and so I think that it would be a lot of fun to have them work together more on camera. That storyline I thought was just so incredibly lovely. It was a real flashback to that really strong, like, ultimate power couple that was Snowing from way back in season 1 all the way through. That swapping places for them and knowing that they're going to be separated again, but that total trust and faith in their relationship that they'll see one another again and they'll be reunited, and letting her go home to baby Neil was just so incredibly lovely. I love the moments between Josh Dallas and Jennifer Goodwin because they are just so completely adorable together, and I love Snow and Charming, and I love any Snow and Charming scenes, so I thought that was beautiful, beautifully done, very, very nicely written. Loved the fact that Killian was able to do that. I loved the look on Ava's face when she realised what he'd done, and they just had this little moment. We got very little Captain Swan in this episode, and I'm surprisingly not infuriated by that, so that tells me that the episode worked well for me, because usually if it's not been a great episode and there's been no Captain Swan, I'll moan about it. Whereas I think I just love the point that they're at right now. I just think that they finally reached, like, I was moaning last week about how I've been so angsty, and I felt like it was less angsty this episode and just a little bit more like there's no like question marks or weirdness or like what's going on with them situation anymore. They're just like this solid united force, and it's just so lovely. A horrifying aspect of this episode was the Aunt Em situation when Hades made her melt and then collected her melted being in a glass jar. There's been a lot of, creepy deaths and traumatic moments and horrible things that have happened to people throughout Once Upon a Time, but I think in terms of like a really creepy, makes you feel kind of sick and horrible moment, that's got to be up there, because I just thought that was just so awful. Cruella had a scene. I'm always going to be pleased about that. It was very short, but I don't care. I just want as much Victoria Smurfit in my life as possible. She's just hilarious, and anytime Cruella's there, I'm happy. So I loved her very short scene. I just love the way that she was speaking to the guys. She's ridiculous, but that was great. I want more of her. I know that she's like trying to blackmail Henry into writing her back to life, but I kind of just hope that they do, just so she can come back and be in it all the time. Belle going to Zelina for help was interesting, and I felt like that was a sort of bonding moment there. I like that Zelina's having these kind of bonding moments with people this season, and I like that her and Regina are starting to maybe get onto more of a kind of like level ground, and the fact that she just, handed over the slippers to Regina, no questions asked kind of thing, shows that she's growing as a person, and I hope that they're going to do with her what they did with Regina, maybe to a certain extent, and have some level of redemption somewhere in there, so that could be interesting. And of course the big ending to this episode was Belle pricking her own finger and putting herself into a sleeping curse. So again, we're probably not going to be seeing any of Belle for the next few episodes because Emily, much like Jennifer, had to go on maternity leave, but I guess that was an unfortunate but probably appropriate way to get rid of her for the time being. It's not It's not what I would have ideally liked to have her do, but I don't really see that she probably had any other option at this point. So that's it for my review of episode 518. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought, how you felt about the Ruby Dorothy storyline, how you felt about the Snow and Charming and Killian and Aaron and all that storyline. Also the lack of Robin Hood. Anyone else questioning that? It's very suspicious to me. But anyway, we'll talk more about that next week, because I suspect from the looks of the promo he's going to be a bit more of a focus next week, so we'll see what happens. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to give it a thumbs up to let me know, and if you want to catch up with all my reviews, do hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye! Banter between Regina and Hook was totally on point in this episode. There were only a couple of lines, but I really feel like they do have this really fun chemistry that I feel like they could explore.